Why is Donald Trump so flipping obsessed with Harvard University? It's not the only college in the country. And it makes me wonder, and I'm not just the only one, whether somebody, could it be Barron, got rejected from Harvard? Or is it the reminder that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama and Malia Obama, and so many people who Donald Trump detests happen to attend that university? Now, let's be clear. Not everyone who goes there was one of Donald Trump's enemies. Plenty of people he surrounds himself with have a degree from that university. Even Pete Hegseth, if I recall correct. Oh, sorry. He went to Princeton, a lesser Ivy. I mean, come on, grow the fuck up. It doesn't actually matter where Donald Trump or Barack Obama attended, in fact, law school in the case of the Obamas. But it doesn't matter to the rest of us adults in the world who have managed to carve out lives for ourselves based on the people we surround ourselves with, the good works, the bad works, the efforts we make in the world, and the connections and what have you. But Donald Trump is obsessed. And just this morning, we had some breaking news on this front. Okay, so let's start with the initial news here. You may remember this all started it didn't all start, but last Thursday, he escalated the war with Harvard when Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem of the shoot her dog in the face and drag him to a ditch fame, Kristi Noem of the cosplay in front of prisons lady. Okay. The person who does not have a care in the world about the family members of the people wrongfully kidnapped from the streets and imprisoned in America and sent to El Salvador. That Kristi Noem sent a letter, and you can see it here, to Harvard University saying that immediately they were going to revoke the ability of Harvard to enroll foreign students. And this was all very pretextual. They're claiming it's because of fostering violence, anti-Semitism, and coordinating with the Chinese Communist Party. Now, first of all, this is so stupid and so pretextual that she put this order out last Thursday that immediately a federal judge said, no effing way. Harvard went to court and said, we're not doing this. And you got to remember, if they think that Harvard is such a magical place and going there gives you all these powers, even though they think everyone who goes here may be stupid or goes there, is it any surprise that a judge also agreed that this was unlawful? So Harvard went in and asked for a temporary restraining order and got it immediately. And federal judge Allison Burroughs had this to say. Department of Homeland Security and the other defendants, their agents, and anyone acting in concert or participation with these defendants are hereby enjoined from, this is what it is, stop from A, implementing, instituting, maintaining, or giving effect to the revocation of Harvard's ability. This is this SEVP certification. This is ability to have foreign students attend. And B, they're also blocked from giving any force or effect to the Department of Homeland Security May 22nd revocation notice. Okay, so that's what happened last Friday. Okay, guys, so that was last Friday. So again, Donald Trump's been obsessed with trying to get Harvard to bend the knee. We remember a few weeks ago when he had threatened to take away like $3 billion or $2 billion, huge billions of dollars of Harvard funding. And the president of Harvard University said, look, all schools have problems, including with anti-Semitism. It's something we're working on, but we don't actually see the correlation between cutting all of this research funding and all the good work that Harvard does because what you're doing is actually hurting more. If you care about Jewish people, how about all the Jewish scientists whose research is being cut? This seems like a lot of bullshit. And Harvard refused to capitulate, unlike Columbia University. And as Harvard is holding the line, Donald Trump has been trying to find other ways to break the school. So the first step we just heard about after that last Thursday was to say no more foreign students. And I don't know what the numbers are, but maybe foreign students make up about 20 or 30% of Harvard's student population, which is a wonderful thing for a couple of reasons. One, it's a university and it should flourish with minds that are wonderful, smart people. Let me tell you, you could fill every seat. There are not enough seats at Harvard to fill them with people who would flourish in that environment, would contribute. But of the people who go there, for the most part, they're contributing, they're flourishing, they're creating a community, they're learning from the academic experts, and it can be a wonderful place. And they're playing sports and they're doing theater and all the like. And it's great that these are international students as well. It helps the students who are from the US. It helps the international students create and foster ties. And as Justin Wolfer said the other day on MSNBC, it's a form of soft power. People all over the world want to come to American universities to study because this is something we have to offer here. It is not just Harvard. It's the school where I teach, Wayne State University. It's other state and public universities. It's private institutions. And it's a form of soft power. What do we mean by soft power? Well, hard power is when you send guns and ships and try to dominate people. Soft power is when you train people from abroad and they go home to their home countries and they bring ideas of liberalism. And I mean that in the big L sense, this idea of open thought, of debate, of the possibilities for intellectual pursuits, of scientific pursuits. They can bring that back to their own countries. So this is all a benefit, the fact that so many schools in the United States offer seats to foreign students. It's also a reality that higher education is a tough business for many schools. Harvard aside for a moment, where they have a giant endowment and normally have billions of dollars of federal funds, a lot of schools, liberal arts institutions with wonderful faculties and places to study struggle making ends meet. And having foreign students come in helps support those schools' largely tuition-driven budgets. Now, what is going on? What's the next news? Well, Donald Trump was really angry about Judge Allison Burroughs' ruling. And he is lying, which shouldn't surprise you, by claiming, and I'm going to read from Truth Social, we are still waiting for the foreign student list from Harvard so that we can determine, after a ridiculous expenditure of billions of dollars, how many radicalized lunatic troublemakers should not be let back into the country. Harvard is very slow in the presentation of these documents, and so on and so on and so on. The best thing Harvard has going for it is that they have shopped around and found the absolute best judge for them. But have no fear, the government will, in the end, win. Okay, this is nuts on so many levels. Number one, remember how Kristi Noem said she was suspending Harvard's ability to bring in foreign students, that program? They have all the names of all the foreign students who are at all the universities under these programs. They already have all of the names. That's the whole flipping point. That's number one. So that's a lie. The second thing is, so now the idea is they're going to do ideological based tests to see who can come in this country. Only people who are Donald Trump supporters can come in if they swear their allegiance to Donald Trump. That doesn't make a lot of sense. That's kind of what he is actually saying here. And there is more. Now, he adds to this, this was yesterday, I'm considering taking this. So that I just showed you yesterday, it was from 23 hours ago. Then there was also this yesterday morning. I am considering taking $3 billion of grant money away from a very anti-Semitic Harvard and giving it to trade schools all across our land. What a great investment that would be in the USA, for the USA, and so badly needed. Okay, so I need to ask you a question. How does, if trade schools in this country need $3 billion, great. Where exactly are these trade schools? A lot of them are for-profit institutions who have gotten extensive student loans. Thank you, Fletcher. Oh, you're so sweet for gifting these memberships. Very nice. So these trade schools, some of them are legit. Some of them are places that don't actually have students graduate, that charge excessive amounts for cosmetology or HVAC degrees. $30,000. They don't necessarily need to pay that much, but people get student loans and then default on them. So I don't really know which trade schools these are. Maybe Donald Trump has in mind setting up another one of his trade universities. Remember how this all goes down to is he has no idea what an educational system is about, what faculty do, what top tier research is for. It's just nothing that interests him because it's not about him. And if you want to give money to trade schools, go ahead. But if and as a Jewish person, I feel I can say this. I am just guessing that taking $3 billion away from Harvard is going to hurt more Jewish students than he thinks. And I don't think there are as many Jewish students at trade schools that he thinks there may be. So I am not seeing the correlation between anti-Semitism and this. And let me tell you, I think Donald Trump and the people he surrounds himself with are far more anti-Semitic than anything I ever saw at Harvard when I was a student there and even today. So F off. And now there is more. This is the latest news this morning. The Trump administration this morning, still stinging over the weekend, moves to cancel federal contracts worth more than some $100 million. Basically, the latest move is to say no more future contracting with Harvard. We're not moving forward. Okay, so why is he so obsessed? I think it's part that it's a brand to him. And it's a brand, let's face it, it's a brand to a lot of people. And I didn't go there as an undergrad, and I'm going to go, I went to the rival school, Yale, and these labels were important to me as a young kid in the Midwest. I wanted to go in part to a school out east because my parents said, University of Michigan's an amazing school, and you can go there unless you get into a so-called better school, because their view is there's no better school in the world. And you remember, I don't know if I told you, but my parents' doorbell played Hail to the Victors, the fight song. In their den, in their living room, they have a navy blue carpet. In the center is a Michigan M. Every home Saturday, we went to the Michigan football game. Enough. So I wanted to distinguish myself. I wanted to carve out my own identity. And so I studied like crazy. I took notos. I worked incredibly hard. And I applied. My top choice was Yale University, and I head out east. And yes, I did apply to Harvard Law School from there because I was chasing prestige at that point, and I was chasing a credential that I thought would help me be an academic one day, and I wasn't wrong on that point. So I understand. I'm not going to lie to you. I understand this idea of what a credential means, but my undergraduate experience was not a credential. It was one of the most enlightening, invigorating experiences I've had. My undergraduate experience was diverse in so many ways. And I also think I wish I had known about other schools. There are other schools, whether it's in Chicago or if I wanted to go east, that I could have gone to that I would have been just as happy at, whether it was Brandeis or Lafayette or UPenn or smaller schools in Maine or anywhere. I would have been absolutely happy. But my parents put that pressure on me that I was going to have to go to a giant school that I associated with huge football games and my family, and I could only get out of that, right? So it was kind of a little bit of a trick they played on me. And once I was in that chasing prestige, chasing labels world, I kept going for it, okay? So I understand that. However, it is insane. It is. Oh, and by the way, why didn't I not go to Yale Law School, which is considered a better one? Because they didn't let me in. They put me on the wait list and I didn't get in. Am I holding a grudge? Absolutely not. Who cares, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say, and this ended up being about me, I'm kind of like Donald Trump here in my own way. I don't understand how a personal story like this would create a whole worldview where you had to crush this institution. So part of it is this is a label that has a brand that's bigger than Trump, and he doesn't like that. And secondly, I think it's clear to him it's one of the only places where money does not give you access. Money and his lies and his bullying and his name calling has gotten Donald Trump to the presidency twice. But what he cannot get is Harvard. And he wants to destroy that university, and he won't be able to do it. If they have to shrink down to the size they were in the 17th century, Harvard will survive much longer than Donald Trump's legacy, other than his legacy for greed, avarice, and possibly destroying or attempting to destroy the United States of America. Which brings us, speaking of universities, despite the fact that this president is a terrible person who has insulted the troops and even tried to lead an insurrection against the United States and literally wanted people to throw out the legitimate electoral votes. Yes, and have himself declared president. Do you remember that? Remember that happening? I don't know if you remember. I don't know, January 6th, 2021. Despite that, and despite the fact that trying to throw out legitimate electoral votes was also a plot leading up to, yes, Abraham Lincoln's inauguration, given the echoes of civil war and bloodshed in this country, given the recklessness of this man, he is the last person on the planet that you should invite to give a commencement address at West Point. But he did. And friends, I have not made my way all the way through this excerpt because I thought I'd watch it with you. So what I do know is Donald Trump was speaking to the West Point graduates, and instead of a speech that a person might give to young graduates about to enter the world who could look back in 40 or 50 years' time on their life and what they had, hopefully, if they have lived that long, what they have given to this country and the sacrifices they may make between graduation and that point out into the future, to talk about what it means to live with dignity and honor, to talk about what it means to make sacrifices for the greater good. I guess there's so much you could say about that, or about what it means to have gotten accepted to and gotten through a school like West Point. I mean, he could have made mention, there are lots of things you could talk about. You could mention some of the rituals they have at the school or the favorite professors. There's a lot a person could do in preparing for a commencement speech. But this is how Donald Trump did it. Let's play this.
It didn't work out too well. But that doesn't work out too well, I must tell you. A lot of trophy wives, doesn't work out. But it made him happy for a little while at least. But he found a new wife. He sold his little boat and he got a big yacht. He had one of the biggest yachts anywhere in the world. He moved for a time to Monte Carlo and he led the good life. And time went by and he got bored. And 15 years later, the company that he sold to called him and they said, the housing business is not for us. You have to understand, when Bill Levitt was hot, when he had momentum, he'd go to the job sites every night. He'd pick up every loose nail. He'd pick up every scrap of wood. If there was a bolt or a screw laying on the ground, he'd pick it up and he'd use it the next day in putting together a house.
Okay. Do you notice, before we talk about how batshit crazy that was, he is telling a story about somebody named Bill and the trophy wives he had and how trophy wives don't work out. And for folks who haven't heard this expression, it is what you think it is. It's the idea of having an achievement, achieving in life and replacing your high school or your college sweetheart wife with a new model, a trophy wife, a woman who looks like a statue, who's gorgeous in a certain traditional sense, who you can show off to others as something, a sign of your achievement. And I think there are trophy husbands. And if you are someone who is in a same sex relationship, there can be the equivalent. I'm not suggesting this is only a heterosexual phenomenon, but it's a particular way of marking yourself among other men. It's a form of competition. Look at my trophy wife. I've collected this one. And then when he says, but let me just be clear, it's treating a woman as an object, obviously, as something that you have earned, but then doesn't work out. This is a man who's on his third wife. So when he appears to be talking about his friend, he's obviously nodding to the women in his own life. Really very disgusting, especially given that his current wife, Melania, is apparently living in New York and is rarely around. I guess, according to her contract, he gets 3 kisses on the cheek, 2 public appearances, and 1 smack his hand away when he tries to hold hers on the way up to Air Force One. I'm joking. I haven't seen the contract. But what's there, that's what's there. But what's missing is, do you hear the words West Point? Do you hear anything referencing college in A Career Beyond? I suppose there's some more to the story, but I think I have heard enough. Now, before I get to, and there's more. Yesterday was Memorial Day. And what Memorial Day today represents, or how we treat it today, is a way of thanking people who have died, members of the military who have died while serving our country. I sometimes used to get it confused with Veterans Day, but no, it's about losing your life in, while in battle, while at war. Now, first of all, whenever I see anyone who is in the military or find out they have been, I always say, thank you for your service, because I am someone who wishes and hopes for peace and thinks of what we have as a Department of Defense and not a Department of War. Now, I know Pete Hegseth wants to call it a Department of War. There was a time in our history when that was more the tradition, but I am not interested in war. I'm interested in peace. Now, so thank you for your service. But what is that bringing me to? I did not know until yesterday the real origins of Memorial Day. And there is a video going around from an interview from 2 years ago, but it's fresh now on TikTok, from a professor named David Blight, where he talks about the origin of Memorial Day. So let me play that for you. I think it will be of interest if you don't already know.
By African Americans celebrating their freedom in the immediate aftermath of the Civil War. The story was just almost unbelievable when I first read it. On May 1st, 1865, the Civil War had ended, just ended. People gathered on the old Planters horse track, the racetrack in Charleston, and they held this extraordinary parade. In the last 6 to 8 months of the war, the Confederates had converted the infield of that racetrack into an open-air prison, and about 260 Union soldiers had died. On May 1st, about 10,000 people marched around the old Planters race course, led by some 2,000 or 3,000 black children, carrying armloads of roses and flowers and singing John Brown's Body, followed by black women, black men, and then Union troops. And they marched around the course, and then they gathered in this cemetery that had been created by local black workmen, and they heard preaching from 5 black ministers, according to this article. These were the freed people of Charleston paying tribute to the Union dead. That's the first Memorial Day.
So that kind of blew me away. I bet there are people who know that, who are watching now, but I didn't until yesterday. So I wanted to share that with you. So every year when I think about Memorial Day, I'm going to think about the end of the Civil War and the beginning of Reconstruction and the possibility for freedom and liberation for all and for a true multiracial democracy, which is where we were headed and we should be and we will be at the end of Trumpism. Now, We started out with Harvard and with and moved on to university addresses. So let's get back on track to our money, law, and power. And I want to speak in particular about Donald Trump again, and tariffs. Remember last week when he was back up to a plan for a 50% tariff on the EU, all products coming in from the EU? Remember that? And then the market starts to go down. Well, guess what? We have whiplash again. Listen.
Spoke to European Commission President von der Leyen. Did you discuss the 50% tariffs, and did you agree to reduce?
She just called me, as you know, and she asked for an extension on the June 1st date. And she said she wants to get down to serious negotiation because I told you specifically, haven't I told anybody that would listen? They have to do that. And we had a very nice call, and I agreed to move it. I believe June 9th would be, July 9th would be the date. That was the date she requested. Could we move it from June 1st to July 9th? And I agreed to do that. And that she said we will rapidly get together and see if we can work something out.
Oh my God. Poor Ursula has to call him on the phone and ask him to slow this down. So here we go again. Up and down. It's like a yo-yo. Now you would think that someone with such lack of appreciation of how economic forces work and trade in general would shut the fuck up. But no, you got to hear this. This almost belongs in Crazy Town until you hear Crazy Town. Let's listen to this and we'll move off tariffs to more money, law, and power.
Besant has said that we don't need to return textile manufacturing to the United States. How do you see, like, a lot of your reciprocal tariffs, they're pretty big on those low-income countries?
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. We're not looking to make sneakers and T-shirts. And we want to make military equipment. We want to make big things. We want to do the AI thing with the computers and the many elements. But the textile, you know, I'm not looking to make T-shirts, to be honest. I'm not looking to make socks. We could do that very well at other locations. We are looking to do chips and computers and lots of other things.
Oh my God. I'm not looking to make socks and T-shirts. Grandpa, go home. And yes, I agree with Nick. This is more market manipulation. I mean, and even if he's not deliberately tipping people off, because obviously trading over the weekend wouldn't be so easy to do, although there are ways. I do think that people around him are just either feeding him ideas or, you know, on a whim, he changes things around and you can still kind of bet on that. Now, so that's our tariff story. I think you also remember how Donald Trump literally said that he would end the war, with Ukraine in, I don't know, was it 24 hours? That he would be able to do this. And I think I even can share with you, I think I even want to share with you him saying that. When he was running for office, he was telling everybody, it's hard to tell because his backdrops often have these flags behind him, so it looks like he's actually president. But when he was running for office, or in the interregnum between when he was elected and when he was sworn in, he said that if he were in charge, you know, they would immediately be able to, here we go, end the war. Okay, yeah, this is definitely when he was running. Let me play this for you. He said he was going to end the war immediately within 24 hours. Let's listen to that. This is on our legal and power front. Okay, here we go, guys.
I'll end that war between those two countries in 24 hours. It won't even take that long. I will get the war ended. I'll stop all of those lives from being wasted and lost. And there'll be no more bombing of Ukraine. There'll be no more bombing of Russia. And everybody will be happy.
It can be negotiated, I think, within 24 hours. It really has to be done from the office of the president.
Okay, so within 24 hours. Now, I have not literally counted how many hours it has been since January 20th, but I can assure you it's more than 24 hours because there was not an end to the war on January 21st. And today is May 27th. And that's more than 24 hours. And so when asked about how shit is going with Russia, here's what Donald is saying. I can't tell whether he's this stupid or this is his cover up or both.
Provide us an update on Russia and Ukraine as well.
Yeah, I'll give you an update. I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all, okay? We're in the middle of talking, and he's shooting rockets into Kiev and other cities. I don't like it at all.
President, what do you want to do about
And
that?
I'm surprised. I'm very surprised. We'll see what we're going to do. What am I going to tell you? You're the fake news, aren't you? You're totally fake. All right, any other questions?
Okay. Why isn't this front page news? Why aren't people focusing on, why does it take, and that clip that I showed you was from Ron Filipowski of Midas Touch Network, and he had that up on Blue Sky. And I guess what I want to ask you is, why is it that this isn't a focus? This is a man who was elected on the promise, on the arrogance that he would get this done. And people don't call him out on this shit, right? And I'm just astonished. But there are some people who will call him out. And you know what? It's not every day that I say Rand Paul is onto something, but today is that day. Let's play it.
Somebody has to stand up and yell, the emperor has no clothes, and everybody's falling in lockstep on this. Pass the big, beautiful bill. Don't question anything. Well, conservatives do need to stand up and have their voice heard. This is a problem we've been facing for decades now, and if we don't stand up on it, I really fear the direction the country is going.
So Senator Paul there was talking more about the so-called big, beautiful bill and what a problem it is in terms of what the problems it causes for the deficit, not so much focused on the concerns we have for the spending cuts that will impact the general public, that the billionaires and corporations and 100 millionaires will get their tax cuts continued on the backs of the rest of us. That wasn't his focus, but my focus on his comment is the emperor has no clothes, period. All of it. And it is absolutely nutty. Now, there's more. I got two things for you. Speaking of Russia, let's go back to that. This is Donald Trump on Truth Social on Saturday. And, you know, again, I don't know if this is bullshit or this is his, I think he's both BSing, but also I'm not sure if he's actually turning against Putin or he's going to try to spin this with Putin like I have to say this. Here's what he wrote. I've always had a very good relationship with Vladimir Putin of Russia, but something has happened to him. He has gone absolutely crazy. He is needlessly killing a lot of people. And I'm not just talking about soldiers. Missiles and drones are being shot into cities in Ukraine for no reason whatsoever. I've always said that he wants all of Ukraine, not just a piece of it. And maybe that's proving to be right. But if he does, it will lead to the downfall of Russia. Likewise, President Zelensky is doing his country no favors by talking the way he does. Everything out of his mouth causes problems. I don't like it, and it better stop. This is war. This is a war that would never have started if I were president. This is Zelensky's, Putin's, and Biden's war, not Trump's. I am only helping to put out the big and ugly fires that have been started through gross incompetence and hatred. I have so much to say about this, but my favorite part is every time Zelensky opens his mouth, it causes problems. So Putin, he's trying to make it an equivalent, a moral equivalent of dropping bombs on cities when they're supposed to be negotiating a ceasefire. That's equivalent to speaking up and saying, President Trump, you should stop Russia. And this is the equivalent of him arguing, right? So arguing and speaking truth to power is equivalent in Donald Trump's mind as to dropping bombs in cities and killing people. Meanwhile, he still has this delusion of grandeur that if he were in charge, this war wouldn't have happened. When he was in charge, Russia was building up on the borders these weapons. Doesn't he remember that he was impeached for the first time because he was trying to condition aid, military aid to Volodymyr Zelensky based on him stepping up to a microphone and saying that Joe Biden was corrupt? I mean, this is nuts. Like, he thinks we don't remember. And actually, it's not nuts, because for those, some don't remember because they're busy. Others do remember, but that's not the story they want to tell you in the mainstream press. They don't want to remind you. Now, one last thing before Crazy Town. It takes one to know one. Donald Trump, one of his favorite things besides talking about himself and trashing anyone he thinks is better than him, which is everybody, is his willingness and his delight in pardoning people who are corrupt, who take bribes or kickbacks. So here's our latest. This was on Donald's Truth Social. And what he said here, this is from yesterday. So here we go. Sheriff Scott Jenkins, his wife Patricia, and their family have been dragged through hell by a corrupt and weaponized Biden DOJ. So this is a guy who you'd think he's a victim, right? This goes on and on and on, how he should not be in jail, so he's getting an unconditional pardon. Are you wondering who the hell this guy is? Yes. Here is the man he's giving a pardon to. This was the former Culpeper County Sheriff. He'd been sentenced to 10 years over federal bribery charges. He accepted $75,000 in bribes, and he appointed several people as deputy sheriffs without training. This is an article from the local news. Former Culpeper County Sheriff Scott Jenkins will spend the next decade in prison after being convicted of appointing several auxiliary deputy sheriffs who gave him thousands of dollars, according to county officials. Jenkins, 53, was convicted in December 2024 of receiving roughly $75,000 via cash bribes and bribes made through contributions to his campaign for office. The money came from at least 8 people, including 2 undercover FBI agents. So Donald Trump thinks that this man is being persecuted. Right here we see it, that he's a victim of an overzealous Justice Department, that he was prosecuted or persecuted by monsters and left for dead. Okay. This sheriff was convicted by a jury of his peers. He was caught by the FBI soliciting or taking bribes. This is a federal crime. And because it's a local official, that would be, I'm not sure if he was charged under 18 USC 1951 or 18 USC 666, but this is out and out quid pro quo bribery, and also selling sheriff seats to people, selling auxiliary sheriff types of auxiliary deputy types of statuses to people who are not trained. That's like creating a vigilante militia. This is really terrible stuff. And this is the kind of person Donald Trump pardons. If Joe Biden did this, if Barack Obama did this, if Hillary Clinton did this, front fucking page of every newspaper. But today, I don't know. Is it even made it into a footnote? I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm going to keep talking to you about news. I'll dig into the weeds of legal issues, but when shit like this goes down, I'm not going to ignore it. Like, oh, just another day of the week under Trump. I'm going to tell you about it when it deals with money, law, and power, because we need to be courageous. In the words of Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the simple step of a courageous individual is not to take part in the lie. The way we don't do that is we repeat the truths, and we speak out against the corruption. And now it is time for Crazy Town. Here we go, guys. So my friends, Crazy Town today is going to end where we started. Crazy Town is still more obsessions with Harvard. This is nuts. And I got to play Two back to back crazy comments. Let's go.
Considering stopping other universities besides Harvard from accepting foreign
Well,
students?
we're taking a look at a lot of things. And as you know, billions of dollars has been paid to Harvard. How ridiculous is that? Billions. And they have $52 billion as an endowment. They have $52 billion.
It's not been paid to them. They're doing incredible research. It gets to salaries of researchers, equipment, bringing people together at conferences. This university produces incredible, important research, as other universities do. Donald Trump thinks he should personally get billions from people. He uses his station, his title, to get billions of dollars in money so he can build hotels. Harvard is taking billions and giving it out to salaries, to students, to buy equipment, to create research for the public good. Okay, I don't see a difference. Yeah, I do. Okay, and now part two. This is batshit. Let's go.
On Harvard, do you think you'll come for their endowment in any way or go after financial aid?
Well, look, part of the problem with Harvard is that there are about 31%, almost 31% of foreigners coming to Harvard. We give them billions of dollars, which is ridiculous. We do grants, which we're probably not going to be doing much grants anymore to Harvard. But they're 31%, but they refuse to tell us who the people are. We want to know who the people. Now, a lot of the foreign students we wouldn't have a problem with. I'm not going to have a problem with foreign students, but it shouldn't be 31%. It's too much because we have Americans that want to go there and to other places, and they can't go there because you have 31% foreign. Now, no foreign government contributes money to Harvard. We do. So why are they doing so many? Number one. Number two, we want a list of those foreign students, and we'll find out whether or not they're okay. Many will be okay.
Oh my God. Again, completely deranged. And we're going to have to hear about this forever until someone can tell me, did Barron Trump apply and get rejected? I just feel like there's something super personal going on here. There always is. There always is. And with that, I bid you adieu, and I will see you bright and early tomorrow, Wednesday morning. Thanks, everybody.
Hello, prison mates. It's the Gen Taub Show. Well, how come everyone? Let's learn about what is happening in politics yesterday and today. There was hope, and we are together in this democracy we work for. And again, welcome to the Gen Taub Show.